back, ChesCo Gridiron Insider faithful, to our Week 9 show. This will be the final episode in our inaugural season. We would like to thank you for tuning in all season long. Today we will have what I would call a legend show. Kyle Berger is set to join us to go over all the playoff scenarios from the Chestnut teams leading into the final week of the season. Kyle and Trey Loletta and Tyreek Lewis will be joining us to discuss what it's like to play in the Battle of the Brandywine, the big showdown between Downingtown East and Downingtown West. That'll be for all the marbles. Plus highlights from last week's game, and of course our final predictions for the last week of a regular season. So let's see some exciting highlights, but first, a word from Studio One, the home of the ChesCo Gridiron Insiders.
Highlights of this week's games are brought to you by Studio One, the home of ChesCo Gridiron Insiders for our inaugural season. Studio One also houses Sports Vault. Sports Vault is your premium provider of sports-related autographed and non-autographed merchandise. Sports Vault is the leader in licensed sports memorabilia, novelties, trading cards, and custom framing. Sports Vault is located at 520 East Lancaster Avenue in Downingtown, Pennsylvania. We are always looking to add sponsorship and join our family here at ChesCo Gridiron Insiders. This week, we are adding a Player of the Week segment, and pretty soon we may add an Upset of the Week that you can sponsor. Just send an email to and we can set you up with the sponsorship package of your choice.
Okay, ChesCo Insiders, welcome to our clip show. Highlights from last week. We're going to start off with Downingtown East at Bishop Shanahan. Downingtown East is going to open the scoring right here as they're on the 33-yard line of the Eagles. Hand off to Alex Rios, left side. Nice block there. 33-yard TD run by Alex Rios opens the scoring. Now we see D East on the 20-yard line of the Eagles. Nice reverse here to Michael Brown for a 20-yard touchdown. It was set up by a long punt return.
Good job getting in the end zone there by Michael Brown.
Yeah.
14-0, right?
Yeah, 14-0 at this point, but Shanahan's driving here. They're on the 4-yard line of the Cougars. And Aquila's going to hit Julian Haylock with a 4-yard shovel pass for the touchdown.
Taking a page out of Coach Reed's playbook there.
Yep.
Kickoff, and D East is going to respond right away for a kickoff return TD by Ben Petrillo as he outruns the Eagles to the end zone easily.
That was after it was a Shanahan touchdown, so it was 14-14, and now it's 21-14 Downingtown East.
Okay, Shanahan again deep in Cougar territory. Coming up to the line here. They're on the 4 or 5-yard line. 5-yard line, it looks like. Another shovel pass to Haylock. Touchdown.
21-21. 5:09 left in the second quarter. Looks like Downingtown East has the ball.
That's the ball. Back to pass. Nice pick there, and Shanahan gains the momentum with a nice interception by Owen McGregor.
Great job jumping the route.
Here's Shanahan on the next play. They're going to capitalize on the turnover. A nice 32-yard touchdown pass here from Anthony Aquila to his favorite target, Aiden Civitelli.
I mean, they have him isolated man-to-man, or probably cover 3, but just ran a nice post there. They were giving him 10 yards. That's always dangerous when Civitelli's running that post. So now we got 28-21, Bishop Shanahan with 4:02 left in the second quarter.
D East comes right back. They're in Shanahan territory. They're on the 14-yard line.
Coach Matta answers by putting the ball in the air.
Yeah, Mason Ippolito to Zach Lindsay for a 14-yard touchdown pass.
Great back shoulder fade And Downingtown East will go on to win this one 63-28. This is probably going to be the score that puts the dagger in with 6:04 left.
Yeah, 41-yard touchdown pass from Ippolito to Nick Keenan, another one of his talented receivers. Nice throw.
Broken
Wide
coverage
open.
there,
Broken
Coach
coverage.
Yeah. Yep.
And the route was on. Final score, 63-28. We head to Great Valley for a battle between the Patriots and the Westchester Henderson Warriors. We're going to see here, punt from
Unbalanced. And Great Valley winds up running it in. Looks like there was a fumble, but they recovered. The Patriots are up 7-0 on the Warriors.
Yeah, that was after a bad snap and a bad handled punt gave Great Valley great field position.
Here's Henderson with the ball deep in Great Valley territory. And they're going to answer that score with a nice pass from Jackson Lewis to Chase Kearney for a touchdown.
Nice catch.
You know, the Patriots have been beat up by injuries, but they play hard every game, guys.
Yeah, I mean, heck, this is they could have rolled over after losing a bunch of weeks in a row.
And they're going to respond right here with a 64-yard TD pass from Andrew Stanley to Luke Helmley.
We'll find out actually later on in the show when we talk to Nate Berger what the fate of the Patriots are. Believe it or not, guys, they have a chance with a win this week and a little bit of help to get into the playoffs.
And then here's the play of the game. As time expires in the first half, Henderson lines up for a field goal. And you're going to see it's a 39-yard attempt. Snap's good. It's blocked. And we're going to see a scoop and a score by Quinn Davis as he goes all the way. And that's really a momentum switch there.
Right at the end of the half, as the clock expires, that was a dagger.
You know, Henderson made it close in the second half, but Great Valley prevailed 21-20.
Yeah, I think Henderson looked like they were going to tie the game late in the fourth quarter, and unfortunately the PAT was missed. So Great Valley holds on 21-20. Great finish.
Now we're Kennett and Avongrove. Battle down southern part of the county. Here's Kennett with the football. They have a fourth down play here. Garrett McCracken back to pass. Rolls out. Hits Ian Geyer to set up a field goal on a 3-0 Blue Demon lead early.
This game really came down to who could convert the fourth down plays.
Yeah, neither offense could convert fourth downs all night, and you're going to see here Aiden Rich ends this Avongrove threat with an interception. Good two-way player.
It's Avongrove's favorite route. We've been telling you during the course of the year. They ran another smash route. Apparently, Kennett's been watching film because they were sitting there. Looked like he threw in a triple coverage.
And the score's 10-0 here. Kennett has the ball on their own 35-yard line. 36-yard line, actually. And Aiden Rich is going to get the call, and he's going to ice the game with a 64-yard TD run as Kennett wins their third in a row, 17-0 over the Red Devils.
So that puts Kennett in a great opportunity this week. They'll travel to Oxford, right, and take on the Hornets. And the winner, well, if Kennett wins the game, they'll win the league outright. If Kennett loses the game, there'll be possibly a three-way tie in this. What is it, the Southern?
There's Chesmont South, yep.
Yeah. So that's definitely a game you're going to want to go to.
Now we're headed to Cottonmire for the big battle between Downingtown West and Coatesville, and you're going to see a cautious start. Cole Bricker scores on a 5-yard TD run as the pile pushes him in and for a 7-0 D West lead.
Really great play by number 22.
Brian Carter.
Yeah, watch him. He gets knocked down, pops back up, makes the play.
Yeah. On the ensuing snap, Matt Ortega Jr. is sacked by Eric LaGroza and Max Wolfington, but an unsportsmanlike foul negates the sack and extended the Coatesville drive. 10 penalties on the night for Downingtown West again. That's 2 weeks in a row. Here's some opportunistic defense by the Whippets. Fumble recovery by that man, Brian Carter. But a few plays later, Downingtown West is going to return the favor with a fumble recovered by Coatesville's Anthony Kelly.
A lot of people wondered when that ball came out, if he was down. A little bit of controversy with that one.
You're going to see more gang tackling here by the Whippets to force a Coatesville punt, as the Coatesville running attack did nothing all night. Okay, after a bad snap on a punt set up Coatesville in Whippet territory, the West defense continues to harass Matt Ortega Jr., and he forces a throw here, and it's intercepted by Darian Smith. Right there.
I believe that was his first interception of the year.
Okay, the score is still 7-0 West. The Coatesville defense stiffens and holds West on a 4th and goal. I wondered why they didn't kick the field goal here to go up 2 scores, but
Yep, I agree.
it was basically an extra point. He looks for Weller, but it's just a little too high.
Good defense by Coatesville.
Yeah. Okay, West forces a punt, and midway through the 4th quarter, Bricker connects with his favorite receiver, J.D. Weller, on a 20.
Wait, no, did we miss it?
Here it is right here coming up. This is Coatesville.
Coatesville's.
Okay, here's the long pass from Ortega to Anthony Kelly to put them deep in D-West territory.
All right, Downingtown West will hold on, and they'll beat Coatesville 14-7 to set up basically the battle of the Brandywine will be for the Northern Division title, right? So Downingtown West versus Downingtown East this week at Kottmeyer. Make sure you get your tickets early. That game will be sold out.
Okay, we're down at Oxford here for Oxford Reading. It's a pink out at the Hornets' Nest. It's Oxford hosts Reading. And Oxford's going to start the scoring here on a 34-yard quarterback draw by Aiden Kane.
You guys sure it's a pink out? It looks like an orange out to me.
It's like a brown out with the field. We're so used to the artificial turf. It's spoiled here. And here's an indication of things to come for the Red Knights as their punt is blocked and returned inside the 5-yard line by Oxford.
Interesting to see that the, what is it called, the Red Knights of Reading?
The Red Knights of Reading.
Yeah, they're punting from 10 yards deep. I'm sure that's not the first punt they've had blocked all year.
I don't know, Coach.
Aiden Kane scores his 3rd rushing TD of the night on a nifty run from the 21. Kane's really been coming on as the year progressed.
Absolutely.
And Oxford goes on to win 42-14 and finishes with Kennett next Friday night for the Chesmont South title on the line.
And that game will be in Oxford.
Okay, Ruston and Westchester East for another Westchester rivalry game. First drive of the first quarter, and Chase Hatton lines up in the power eye and powers it in from 3 yards out. Ruston up 7-0. Second quarter action, Westchester East lines up for a 38-yard field goal attempt, but it's blocked by Jimmy Bolin. A lot of trouble in the kicking game for teams in the area. Chase Hatton alertly scoops up the ball and rumbles 66 yards past the caravan of Ruston blockers, and Ruston is in business. Real smart play by Hatton. Kudos to longtime Ruston special team coach Bob Carey on coaching the kids up. Okay, 2 plays later after that, you're going to see, Ruston asserts their run dominance again here as they're just blowing through teams lately.
The one thing I'm impressed, Coach Pete, go on.
Yeah, David Jacobs takes a belly lead, 15 yards to pay dirt.
I've noticed since, David Jacobs wound up running the ball more against Pope John Paul, he's become more assertive, more confident in his running. And he scored, I think, 4 or 5 touchdowns now since.
Yeah, here's the 2-point conversion.
No.
Oh, okay. This is David McClain hits the slot receiver on a backside post off the waggle, and Ruston goes in at the half up 29-0.
Yeah, they score right before the half. They leave 2 seconds for Westchester East, but this pretty much signals that Westchester East will probably not be
going to the playoffs.
Well, I was going to say winning the game.
Okay, here's Westchester East in the 3rd quarter. Nate DeRosa.
This is the before the half.
Oh, before the half. Okay.
Yep. What a play. He's got Hatton on the backside post. That's probably not exactly how they drew it up, but they'll take it.
Throw to the pylon.
And there's a score. It's 29-0 at the half.
Okay, third quarter action here. Westchester East has the football. Quarterback Nate DeRosa throwing a quick hitch, and it's tipped and picked off by JoJo Magellan, who always seems to be around the football. Ruston takes 36-0 lead, and the Golden Knights go on to win 49-0.
And they will play Henderson next week I guess it's obviously a rivalry game. Look for, I don't know, is that going to be at Henderson, Coach?
Yeah,
It
J.
is.
Oscar
It
Disc
is.
Stadium. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, now for our game of the week. Malvern Prep hosting the Fords of Haverford School in this key Interact matchup. First quarter, after a Malvern turnover, Haverford School quarterback pass attempt is intercepted by linebacker Dylan Novak, and he goes 53 yards to give Malvern their 7-0 lead.
That's Malvern's 12th turnover of the year that they've forced. That's pretty impressive.
Okay, Malvern adds on a field goal, and Jake Bauer goes by Haverford School upbacks to block this punt in the second quarter. More trouble in the kicking game. Malvern has the ball on the Ford's 13-yard line. 3 plays later from the 8-yard line, Jackson Melkonian throws a perfectly placed back shoulder fade to P.J. Holmes, and Malvern goes into the half up 17-0. Point after was converted by Austin Tate. Second drive of the third period, Malvern up 20-0 and looking to put the game away. Jackson Melkonian takes this belly lead option on 4th and 1 and goes 35 yards untouched. Great call by the Friars. Everyone was fooled. And Malvern goes on to win this one 27-0. They go 2-0 in the Interact, outscoring their two opponents in league play 68-0.
Tom Wolf for ChesCo County Gridiron Insiders. We're going to take a look at the Downingtown West defense. I've got a couple clips. First off, their defense against the spread offense, in this case, Perkiomen Valley from earlier in the year. And what they like to do is show a 3-man front against the spread offense. There's your 3 down linemen. They'll walk up an outside linebacker. And with this look, and this is number 8, Andrew Brown, the outside linebacker. He gets good pressure on the quarterback. And just with this 4-man pressure, this allows 7 defenders to defend against the spread offense. And you see Brown gets good work on the inside rush here on the Perkiomen Valley quarterback, and this allows defensive end number 67, Kyle Markley, to make the sack. So good job of just showing a 3-man front, walking a man up, and as we run through it, you'll see the work here, forcing the quarterback out, and there's the sack. So good job with 4-man pressure against the spread offense. Our next clip, a little bit later on in the game, got a 3-man front again, but this time Downingtown West defensive coordinator Phil Plank shows some inside linebacker showing blitz. He'll bail out, and then these 2 linebackers will come in and pressure. So it's a 3-man front with a 5-man pressure. And as we take a look at this, let it run. So you see the one inside linebackers walked up, and the 2 other linebackers come from the same side. A little bit of a stunt, a little bit of a game. And again, this leads to pressure. You have an unblocked man. In this case, it's number 18, TJ Sinkus. And this leads to another sack. Actually, that's Max Wolfington on the pressure, and then Sinkus cleans it up for the sack. So just a good look there against the spread team. Now, against a power running team like Ruston, very similar in tendencies to Downingtown East, which loves to run the ball, Plank dials up a 6-man front. He's got 6 down linemen, 2 linebackers. You can see everybody on this Downingtown defense is within 8 yards of the ball. So it's basically a goal line defense. This is early on in the game, just giving Ruston a different look. And I would expect to see some of this look when Downingtown East runs their condensed formations or run heavy formations. A little bit later on in the game, instead of a 6-man front, they go to a 5-man front. And they want to do this and use this nose guard to occupy 2 blockers. Okay, again, as you can see here, you got 1 wide out, so you got man-on-man coverage down here. But again, you've got 10 defenders within 8 yards of the line of scrimmage. So against a run-heavy offense like Ruston, like Downingtown East, you need to commit guys into the box. Here you can see the 2 defensive ends, Markley and number 57, Isaac Russell, get great penetration. Right there, you can see it. And then you see how the West defense swarms to the ball. A lot of guys around the ball for a minimum gain. So expect those 2 looks when Downingtown East is in their condensed run-heavy formations. And Downingtown East does run some spread concepts, so look for some 3- and 4-man looks with pressure. Tom Wolf, again here, breaking down the Downingtown East defense. We have a common opponent. Both teams played Westchester Ruston, as you can see. Against Ruston with their tight run formations, everybody again is in the box. I circled inside linebacker Jack Griffiths. He's the key to the Downingtown East defense. And as you watch this play developed, he does a real nice job along with the 2 safeties. Really read and run and flying in to blow up the play. Downingtown West does have some power run concepts. So look for the safeties to get involved in the run game. Next play a little bit later. Downingtown East has had a great job last couple of years with a nose tackle. Last year it was Felix Mason. This year, Michael Asante's taking that position, and he does a great job on this buck sweep. Again, it's just a down concept. 2 guards are pulling out, staple of the wing T offense. And you can see the right tackle is going to try to block Asante, but Asante gets through there so fast that he beats the block. And you see how quickly he gets into the backfield. He times the snap count up great and does a great job for the tackle for loss. So look for big things Friday night with Mike Asante as the nose guard. West has some spread concepts. So let's look at some spread offense here. Downingtown East facing Springford. What they like to do, what Coach Bryce Blatt, defensive coordinator for Downingtown East, he loves to bring pressure from different spots. Very similar to the clip we showed with Downingtown West. This time you've got the outside linebacker and inside linebacker both coming. Logan Lewinko actually comes inside. Jackson Griffith comes outside for the pressure, and then you'll see Lewinko clean it up for the sack. So real good job disguising pressure. Springford doesn't know who to block. Lewinko and Jackson Griffiths are both free. Initial pressure, and then Lewinko cleans it up for the sack. Finally, another play that Coach Bryce Blatt loves to do. He loves to twist his defensive linemen and linebackers. In this case, he sends Mike Asante on a stunt to the offensive left, and Jackson Griffiths to the right. It's a run play. The pulling tackle doesn't know who to block. Griffith comes in free, makes the initial hit, and you can see the Downingtown East defense swarming. So there's a couple things to look at from the Downingtown East defense.
Okay, ChesCo Insiders, we're here with legendary District 1 coach Mike Milano, who won a district title at Unionville in 1993, and with the Downingtown West Whippets in 2019. And we have former Downingtown East quarterback Trey Lauletta. Good to see you guys. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Pete.
As we're on this East-West game coming up this week, I wanted to ask Coach Milano, Coach, you're a Downingtown guy. You were there. You played there when it was one school. When you played East, did you feel like you guys at West were the home school? Did they feel like almost like you guys were the real Downingtown? I mean, you play a stadium on your campus. Did you feel like they were visitors?
I'm looking at Trey right now, coaching up at East with his Downingtown football sweatshirt on, right? So I know Coach Matta has made that his life's work to make sure it was still considered Downingtown. Had we had our way, they'd have been black and gold, and we'd have been blue and gold, and they'd have been Lineville, and we'd have been Downingtown. But that's not how it was.
Okay.
That'll never go away. Not just the first year. It's a rivalry. I think it'll go forever. I still remember the first article written way back when, and I knew right away because I grew up in Downingtown what a big deal it was going to be. And I think Mike kind of blew it off like, it's just another game or whatever. That went away real fast. I mean, that evaporated really, really quickly. The first one for me, if you're asking me, you want stories. When the school split, I know I'm a Downingtown guy, but I was not the popular choice by any of the kids in the program. I think everybody kind of assumed that Mike would get East and Tom Nichols would get West, and would be the OC at one school and the DC at the other school. And I got hired, and it was hard. And I remember that first game. We had already had some early success. We beat Malvern Prep. We were doing okay that year. And I think we won that game 13-10. East missed a field goal with the buzzer. And I remember sitting on the bench after the game. I couldn't breathe. Like, to me, that I had to kind of justify my existence in Downingtown that night. It was a pretty crazy night. But those games, they don't get any less stressful ever. Not ever. It's always going to be that way, I think, long after me.
And we have Kyle Lauletta joining us now, the former NFL and USFL quarterback. Thanks for joining us, Kyle.
Thank you for having me. How you guys doing?
Let me ask you first, then I'll ask your brother Trey. Leading up to the game, did the coaches have to mention it to you during the season or in summer camp, or did you guys always know when you were playing West? Like, was that always the ultimate goal?
Of course. I mean, you mark it on your calendar. I mean, I think, anytime you share the same stadium with somebody, when you go to meet them in that place, you're battling for more than just the win on the scoreboard at the end of the day. So, the whole town comes out, and you can just tell by the difference in the attendance. I mean, we always, both East and West, they always had a good, they did a good job packing up the stadiums. But, the atmosphere at a game like that is something that, anybody at any level of football, it's something to marvel over and be really proud of. So, and that's exciting. So when the entire town, the entire school's coming out to watch you, it's definitely marked on your calendar, and there's some added excitement. So, it was really fun getting to play that game every year.
Okay, Trey, let me ask you, how was the mood around the school that week leading up to it with the student body? Were they as into it as the team and the coaches were?
Absolutely. I think Coach's running joke was, there might be a few people in the building who don't know that we have a football team, but they know there's a football game on Friday night when you're playing West. Is kind of the atmosphere. And like Kyle said and Coach said, I think the coolest thing about this game is it's just a celebration of Downingtown football at the end of the day, right? I mean, you see the Marsh Creekers and the DYW kids there, right? You see people from, the different churches in the area are out there. Your neighbors, right? If they're asking, hey, I can only get to one game this year. What type of game do you think I should come to, right? It's always the East-West game is the one you're gonna tell them about. And so, in the community and at school is kind of the environment you get. And for that reason, it makes it sometimes difficult for the kids to stay focused. But, Coach does a great job of trying to make it feel like it's just any other game. When we know as players sometimes, that's not the case. It's a special one and a great opportunity for both teams when they get to play each other on Friday night.
Trey and Kyle, I played with your dad in some of those and watched your dad play in some of those huge, highly attended games on Thanksgiving morning at Westchester University, Westchester Henderson versus Westchester East. And the thing that I thought was the biggest difference between the East-West Downingtown game and the Henderson East Thanksgiving Day game, the crowds were almost as big down at Farrell Stadium for Westchester, but it was a late arriving crowd. It wasn't until maybe the midway through the first quarter that the stands would actually get full, With this East-West game, the thing that I was taken aback by was that at 5:30, an hour and a half before game time, there were 10,000 people there watching every kid go through every drill. You were a sophomore receiver and you dropped a pass in warm-up drill, the whole crowd was on you. It was crazy. The kids were so tense, just even from the amount of people being there. Would you guys share your one drive or one play or one memory that you have, and all three of you, from the time when you played in one of those battles of the Brandywine?
It could be in a losing effort if you guys want. You can go there.
Unfortunately, I had two of those, Coach, so those are definitely top of mind for me. So, actually, I'll highlight then the year we did get him, and that was my senior year. I had the pleasure of playing with an NFL player himself, and Tyler Croft, who was an outstanding football player, but also a great friend of mine. And it's one of those things. Again, I grew up with Tyler. We went to the same elementary school. We played, ball together when we were little kids, and you practice in the backyard or right after practice. And, for him, he got moved to wide receiver his senior year. And I remember drilling, back shoulder fades. Hey, you're 6'5". They won't be able to cover you. I don't care what the coverage is. And we worked really hard at it. And, we probably didn't complete as many as I would have hoped my senior year. But I do remember, my senior year heading towards the scoreboard, we were able to complete one. And just that embrace in the end zone and saying, it was all that work that we had put in, all was leading up to that moment. And it's just, again, I get chills thinking about it. And that's probably the memory that stands out most from my time from East West is the completion of back shoulder fade to Tyler Croft in the end zone. So
yeah, I told my staff, don't you guys feel so good for those two? They've probably been doing this for a long time. It's like a happy moment.
That's true.
It's funny. I think when I try to go back and think about it, and I was thinking about this, this interview, and I'm thinking like there's no real play or no real half or part of the game that stands out in specific, but that's kind of the beauty of it. I mean, the part that I remember is, after the game celebrating at Applebee's with the buddies, and kind of like that feeling of beating West and being there with your schoolmates and things like that. I remember winning the games. I remember the undefeated season that we had, that we beat West I think I remember we just jumped out to a lead kind of early. And that was kind of, that was the story. And then we just kind of, had enough talent to win, but there's not really like specific plays that I remember. It's just the experience, the atmosphere, and just the feeling of running out of the tunnel. When I look back and think about it, it's East-West. That's the game that you think about, running out of the tunnel and just looking around as a young kid seeing, wow, look at all these people coming out here. Like you said, an hour, 2 hours before the game. You felt that even in warm-ups. When you ran out for warm-ups, you feel the goosebumps already. It's just an incredible feeling. And that's what I remember, hands down.
Coach, any memories, Coach?
Oh, there's a million. I told you the first one. I'll go to the first one, my first one and my last one. So my first one, I felt like we had to win just to justify my existence as the coach at Downingtown West. And then the win last year, we've had some success over the years, but getting hammered 35-7 week 9 and coming back, or week 10, I forget what it was, and
Week 10.
Getting into playoffs and winning a couple games and beating an undefeated Souderton team to get back to an undefeated Downingtown East team. And I remembered the year before, the previous year, we won the first game and then they beat us in the playoffs. And I remember talking to Mike pregame, and Mike, look, you know how Mike can be. You guys know, smug, and he goes, Mike, we're not throwing the ball one time tonight. And I knew that's how it would always be if it could go that way. And that I'm bad with names. The lacrosse kid, they ran it up and down the field on us and murdered us the second time around. And so I kind of knew, they hammered us the first time, and I knew it was going to go that way this time. And the way my kids responded to that adversity, it's tough to. You guys played a long time. You get beat 35-7 and got to go play a team again 2 or 3 weeks later. To have those kids buy into a little bit of a tweak plan and not just buy it but own it and want it And then the way that game finished with a touchdown with, 17 seconds left at the end of the game to end their undefeated run, that was an amazing finish. So I'll go my first game and my last game with a lot of great memories in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you guys each question, this question to each of you. Usually the game's in week 10. It has been in week 9 also over the years. How hard was it the following week to come back from the high that you were on playing East-West?
I'll say that at Henderson we used to play Downingtown East week 10. We loved it. Playing them the week after they had just played Downingtown West, that was a big advantage for us at Henderson.
Yeah. Well, you hear these guys talking about the crowd, right? So you play that game week 10 and you get in the playoffs, and everybody in Chester County's in the playoffs, and it's a shame, but a lot of games don't get attended the way they should. But you go play in that atmosphere against your arch rival, and then go the next week and play Hatboro Horsham. I'll just throw a name out. I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think all the Chessmont, the tough, there's been ebbs and flows over the year, who's been really good, but it's always been, those core few teams. And when you play them, it's more physical. I mean, they're more physical games, and you get up for it so much, you exert so much energy. I do think it takes a toll on you. And, thinking about West and Henderson being our last 2 games, and then, oh, by the way, you probably might see them again, being healthy at the end of the year and all that. But I remember towards the end of the year playing Henderson and just not even scoring points. Maybe because it was cold. Maybe because I don't know, we're banged up. But it was always grinded out, tough games against Henderson at the end of the year. But definitely, man, you take a beating when you play those games because you're physical. You exert. You play as physical as you possibly can against your rivals and your big opponents, and especially when you're evenly matched in a lot of those times, you're gonna come out of there with some bumps and bruises and some guys injured for sure.
Yeah, and I'd echo what Coach said, right? The crowd, the juice, right, on week 10, and then you come out, what you expect again as a player, right? It's playoffs, it's do or die, it's win or go home. You come out, and, to be frank, it's probably 30% of the capacity that it was, the previous week.
Right.
It's a little bit of an eerie feeling, but, Coach always kind of tries to drill it's all about us as opposed to the outside. And, it requires the kids really to focus on that, especially from a week 1 playoff perspective. So, yeah, definitely difficult following up the East-West game with anything that follows in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, if I can add one of my brief memories from that Downingtown East, Downingtown West game, and it's all to Coach Milano. In 2018, we had lost to Coatesville. Downingtown West had lost to Coatesville. Will Howard had broke his arm, and that team was down. Boy, it seemed that everything was lost. All of our Chessmont aspirations, everything was lost. And Coach Milano took linebacker Eric Wetzel, right?
Ryan Wetzel.
Ryan Wetzel, linebacker who was a backup quarterback in 9th grade, built an offense around him, got those kids to believe,
and they beat him.
And they went on and beat Downingtown East and turned that season around in 2018.
That was 18, yeah.
Yeah, it was 18,
Yeah, we my senior year we fell victim. I mean, we lost. We went undefeated and lost to the 16th seed, and I think it came off of 2 tough games. And like you said, we probably had more people at the previous 2 games than our first round playoff game. It's tough to go, and it's almost like the East-West and those division rival Coatesville Henderson feel more like a playoff game than the actual playoff game does, especially when you're first round team. But very interesting. Think about it though.
Thanks for joining us, guys, and
Thank you,
Coach.
guys.
Thank you, guys, and thanks for sharing your memories and enjoy this year's edition of East-West.
Trey and Kyle, tell your dad I said hi.
Will do. Thank you so much for
Yes,
having
sir.
us. It was a lot
Trey,
of fun.
don't train him up too good this week.
Good to
Cut him
see
a
you,
break.
Coach.
We'll try our best,
Good to
Coach.
see you,
Thank
Kyle.
you.
Take care, boys.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
guys. Thank you.
Okay, guys.
Be
Be
thank
good to
you.
see you, Coach, on Friday. Thanks.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Good luck.
All right, here comes our special guest. Kyle Berger is back. Great time to have him, too, a week right before the big PIAA district playoff push. So, Kyle, again, thanks for joining us. Obviously, we have just tabbed as the professional Nate is on with us as well. And we love having Nate every week. So let's get after it. I will put up the screen. And Kyle, let's start with 6A. Let's start with Downingtown West. So what do you see?
Sure. So CB South is pretty much solid number one seed at this point. They're going to be heavily favored this week against Penn Ridge. It's a team they should handle and take care of business. So Downingtown West is playing for a number two seed. And of course, the rivalry win over Downingtown East. So between Downingtown West with a win, I've got them slotted as the number two seed. If they happen to lose to Downingtown East, that'll kick them down to a number 4 or 5 seed.
Okay, sounds good. Let's take a look at Downingtown East.
Sure. So Downingtown East, in no matter what, they've gotten to where they need to be at this point in the season, and both Downingtown East and Coatesville maybe benefit from having that game canceled a couple of weeks ago, because that is a loss that neither of them had to take. So Downingtown East looking like as high as an 8 seed should they beat Downingtown West.
Nice.
Maybe a 9 seed. And if they lose to Downingtown West, more than likely an 11 seed.
Oh, wow. Okay. So they really can benefit from winning, and they won't really get hurt by losing.
Now, they'll be on the road if they lose in the first round, but a chance at a home game if they're able to defeat Downingtown West.
This is going to sound crazy, but you might even be better off a little bit if you do lose, because then you don't have to play the 1 if you were to win the 8-9 matchup. You know what I mean?
That's a true point. You gotta go Herm Edwards, though. You play to win the games, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, finally, Red Raiders, Coatesville.
Yeah, in with a win, in with a loss.
Gotcha.
So they've got a big game against Shanahan, of course, who kind of sniped Downingtown West a couple of weeks ago. I have Coatesville with a win somewhere in the 13 or 14 range.
Okay.
It's going to have a little bit to do with how the PAC championship games play out. So they're going to be right neck and neck with Springford, it appears. If they lose, they're going to probably drop to 15, as low as 16, but I don't know that would happen. But they're in it appears.
So a rematch with Downingtown West with a loss and a win. You're looking at CB West, North Penn, maybe even a rematch with Perk Valley.
Correct. Yeah. So all of those matchups are potential matchups, and Coatesville is always one of those teams that gets that label. Nobody wants to see them in the first round of the playoffs, right?
Well, yeah, might not be as true this year as it's been in years past, but
when you look at last year, they were a 2-point conversion away from taking down CB South in the first round. So
yep.
Yeah, you don't want to see them early.
Correct. I was a little bit too close for comfort for that one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's move down to, oh, by the way, congratulations then to the Whippets, the Cougars, and for the Red Raiders for getting in the playoffs. Now it's time to go win the playoff hunt. So let's move down to 5A and take a look at Westchester Ruston first. So,
sure. So just kind of. Yeah, with a win, Westchester Ruston can get to the number 2 seed. That number 1 seed's going to go to the winner of the Springfield, Delco, and Strathaven game. That's an 8-1 team against a 9-0 team. Whoever wins that game is going to pop up to the number 1 seed. Ruston's ceiling is number 2. If Garnet Valley trips up against Ridley week 10, Ruston could slide past them. But if Garnet Valley wins, looks like they will be the number 2 seed.
Okay, sounds good. I mean, this doesn't sound crazy, but Springfield Delco coming off that huge win last week. So hard to get up 2 weeks in a row to play gigantic teams like that. So we'll see what happens.
So do you think? Do you think Ruston's hoping for a Garnet Valley win over Ridley just for the points that they get to 3? Right now, they're looking at Chester in the second round. And then Garnet Valley and Strathaven, if the seeds hold up. I mean, that would be a heck of a road to a district title. But is Chester going to end up around the 7 seed, do you think?
I have them at a 7 or an 8. It's all going to depend on a couple of non-conference results for Chester from out of state that I'm going to be feverishly tracking down on Friday and Saturday.
Wow.
You almost want the 3 seed, even though you give up
I was
the
going to say
semifinal
that.
home game. But
Yeah, you
Yeah.
do not want to see Chester. That's for sure. All right, let's take a look then at Unionville.
So Unionville has a really tough, and I'll use the term weird, non-conference opponent. Week 10, they're playing Conrad Weiser, who's undefeated. So, I mean, good for schedule points, even with a loss, right? If they're able to give the Scouts their first loss of the season, they can climb as high as 7 and maybe even move past Chester. With a loss, though, Unionville sits in the 11 spot, which I currently have projected to play the 6 seed Phoenixville.
Gotcha. Nate, any update on the quarterback?
yeah, he came back last week and played against Sun Valley. So I mean, I don't think he had any setbacks. Obviously, they're a much better team with him in the mix. But yeah, one of those quirky schedule things now that they have the three league divisions. Now they have people are trying to find Week 10 games, so
Right.
that's why they have Conrad Weiser, which is a little bit of a goofy thing. But yeah, I think
Now,
they should
are
be
they
full go.
traveling to Conrad Weiser, did you say? Or is
Let me see.
anyone aware of that?
No, yeah, they're traveling.
Ooh, all right. Okay. What about Kennett?
So Kennett is in no matter what, as is their opponent Oxford. So both of those teams are going to be in no matter what. It's kind of almost a flip-flop. Whoever wins that game has the inside shot at a 10 seed, maybe an 11. Oxford or Kennett, should they lose, looking like a 14 or a 15 seed.
Gotcha. And that'll be played for the league title, which is outstanding. That's
Yep.
all you can ask for at Oxford. All right. Let's then take a look. Great Valley is a 19 right now, and Westchester East a 23. Can you run down their possibilities?
Sure, I think Westchester East might be a little too far out, even if they were to pick up a win against Great Valley. I don't know that there's just too many teams between them and the cut line. They're going to need, planets to align, right? For Great Valley, the path is not as muddy. If they win, I have them currently projected as the 17th team, but all that takes is one team ahead of them to lose. I currently have Methacton projected to be the 16 seed by winning their PAC playoff game against, I believe they're playing Upper Perk. So if Upper Perk beats Methacton, Great Valley wins, those two will more than likely flip-flop, and Great Valley could see their way into the tournament as the 16 seed.
Outstanding. Okay.
It's a big win last
anything-
week against Henderson all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you find interesting? Kyle, anything you want to point out?
Well, I would say just a broader view that in the 6A bracket, it's really down to 17 teams playing for 16 spots. Penn Ridge, I have currently projected as my number 17 team and just missing. Pennsbury, I have in as the 16, as they,
So now,
I believe.
can I ask a question since we're
Sure.
going? So I know Pennsbury plays Neshaminy. So even if Neshaminy beats them, Pennsbury would still stay at 16?
That's correct, and I have I have projected that Pennsbury would lose to Neshaminy. However, if Pennsbury wins, they're 100% in. If they lose, I have them sitting at the 16 seed, and just barely ahead of Penn Ridge. So it might come down to those, non-conference opponents and things like that. And Pennsbury, their non-conference opponents were Northampton, Quakertown, and Council Rock South, who I think will all win on Friday or Saturday of next week. Penn Ridge has Liberty, Ben Salem, and Truman. Ben Salem and Truman play each other, so that kind of cancels out. They're guaranteed only 10 points from that. And Liberty is playing undefeated Freedom on Saturday. So they might not get extra points from Liberty, and that could ultimately be the difference.
Gotcha.
You remember the last time a 6A team with a losing record made the playoffs? It's been a while, I think.
I mean, did we have a 4-6 team ever?
I don't know. I mean, this website only goes back to 2018. It doesn't show any, so I don't know when the last time was. But yeah, I guess that's when it switched over. But yeah, you don't see that too often. Maybe
No,
ever.
you don't. So it'll be interesting to see if that does play out to be a 4-6 team making it.
Gotcha. All right, let's take a look at the 4. We have Bishop Shanahan currently as the 3. We know that they host Coatesville on Friday night and Springfield Township.
Yep. So the way those standings are right now, the top 4 teams are in. Like, that's not going to change. The number 1 team is not going to change. Pope John Paul is locked no matter what as the number 1 seed. Springfield clinches the number 2 seed with a win against Wissahickon. And Bishop Shanahan, if they should win on Friday night and Springfield loses to Wissahickon, those two will flip, and Shanahan would be the 2 seed. Springfield would drop to 3. Pottsgrove is in as the 4 no matter what.
You said Pottsgrove, you mean Lower Moreland?
Yes, I misspoke. Thank you. Lower Moreland.
Gotcha. So in
Pottsgrove's
essence,
5-8.
everybody's kind of locked in. It's just a question of who's going to be home and who's away.
That's right. Yeah, I think that it's the 2-3 seed that's really the only thing that's up for grabs this weekend.
Gotcha. All right, sounds good. Well, Kyle, again, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Really helping out a lot of people that are always curious. I remember when I was coaching for the longest time, always wanted to know who we were possibly going to play so I could go out and get some film and then start breaking down. And I'm sure all the fans really appreciate it, going to the games on Friday night and saying, hey, you know, with a win, this is what we got. With a loss, this is what we got. Kyle said it, so it is the Bible.
I just know there's going to be a lot of people in Chester County that are paying attention to Smyrna and Cape Henlopen because that's benefit of Downingtown West should Smyrna win. So it's just like all these random games that get played in other states might have an impact between a team being a 2 or a 3 seed.
I'll have Nate put that on his phone so he can get it to me as the games are breaking down.
Thank goodness for Twitter.
Yes.
Well, thanks again, Kyle.
My pleasure.
This episode was brought to us by the PA Rebels, so let's hear from them. And stay tuned. We'll be getting to the predictions right after this. If you're looking for a travel baseball program that is competitive but focuses on player development, please check out the PA Rebels program out of Westchester, Pennsylvania. Their development program has led to over 45 players gain college baseball opportunities over the past 4 years. All right, now, welcome everyone for our predictions portion. This will be our last show, as we've said. Really had a great time. And we have an absolute celebrity joining us, ex-head coach, but the head coach of the Chestmont, Mike Milano. Coach, welcome. We really appreciate you joining us again after you breaking down pretty much the battle of the Brandywine and what it's meant to you through the years in our earlier segment. So thanks a lot for joining us again. We really appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. All right, let's get right to the picks. Well, first, let's get to the records. We have Coach Mitten, hanging in there, right? Had a much better week this week after his sub 500 performance his first week. He's now 9-5. Kyle Berger, still 2-0. We'll allow him to make some more picks. I think we got this week. We have Coach Wolf, 64-19. Not bad. Pretty good. Not bad. Pete, well, it is what it is. 61-22. That'd be good in most papers, but unfortunately, this is the ChesCo Gridiron Insiders.
Yeah.
That's not going to get it done.
Not going to get it done.
We will let you make picks this week, however. And then we got Nate the Great coming in. Not a bad week last week, Nate, 25-12. And then yours truly hanging on by a thread, 65-18. So let's get started. We'll go Avon Grove at Sun Valley. I think we were all in unison here. So we like Avon Grove going down to Sun Valley. I think it might be closer than most people think it will be. Coach Milano, your thoughts?
Man, I'm a national guy, and I don't know what the divisions are called now since I'm out, but I'm an old national guy. I got to go Avon Grove.
All right, sounds good to me. All right, Ruston and Henderson. All right, this is apparently a grudge match. I'm not going to get into it, but I know that it is a rivalry game, but it is more than a rivalry game for some, apparently. So I think we all have Ruston there. So, Coach Milano, if you could give us an idea.
I've seen Ruston. I haven't seen Henderson. I just see the record. They're struggling some. So, I mean, I'll pick Ruston. They're a really good-looking football team.
And Nate Berger will also take Ruston as well. All right. Penn Charter at Malvern. Malvern has not given up a point in the league yet this year. They're 2-0. And Penn Charter surprisingly beat Episcopal last week, 21-18. I talked to one of the Episcopal coaches, and they said it was one of the worst losses of his Episcopal coaching career, if that means anything to anyone. But I'm going to take Malvern by 1 million. And I think everybody else is probably on board there. Mike, I know it might be tough for you to say.
Yeah,
Malvern.
I might have to pick the other team just because I can't ever pick Malvern Prep.
All right, go with that. Here's one that actually, when we spoke to Nate Berger earlier on the show, he said a lot of people will be, or Kyle Berger, my fault. I got too many Nates on the show. Unionville at Conrad Weiser. Conrad Weiser, most people aren't aware of this, is actually undefeated going into week 9. So they're 9-0. And so this is a really big game for points in the 5A. Matt, what do you think?
I'm going to go with, I'm an old District 3 guy. I'm going to go with District 3 Conrad Weiser. You know, I don't want to go against the Longhorns, but I think they come down here and get it done.
I think Kyle also took Conrad Weiser. Nate?
Yeah, I can't say no much about Conrad Weiser. I know that they've only played one team with a winning record, though, so I don't know how much they've been tested out there in District 3. I know District 3's produced some greats like Coach Mitten over there, but I'm going to go with the Longhorns. I think they are a little bit more battle-tested, and I think they get it done.
Matt, thinking about changing your pick after those numbers?
No, I'm going to stick with it.
All right. Pete?
I like Conrad Weiser. They've only beat one team with a winning record, as Nate pointed out, and that was Cocalico this past week, 24-21. Unionville, up and down team. I'm going to go with the home team, Conrad Weiser.
All right. I'm going to take Unionville. The quarterback's back, and this will be the second week he's been back, and I think it helps them get back to who they are. And quite frankly, I think they know they need the game to improve their slot in the PIAA playoffs. Coach Milano.
Dude, I feel like Lee Corso here. Like, I need mascot heads. I'm like here for the fun guy. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell? Bring the old guy in and put him on the spot. I coached at Unionville for a couple of years. I'm going to go Unionville.
All right, sounds good.
Won a district championship.
1993.
Yeah.
He's always humble.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Coatesville at Shanahan. All right, Coach Milano, we'll start off with you. I know, you maybe can help out. Give us, maybe give Coach Ortega a call this week and coach him up a little bit, get him going.
Oh, yeah, everybody will listen to me. This will be a game I can't root for either side, but picking a winner, I mean, I've seen both. Shanahan upset my boys 2 weeks ago. I got to think Coatesville gets back on track.
Okay. Pete?
Yeah, I like Coatesville. I think their line's too big for Shanahan. Shanahan battled Downingtown East for a half. They beat Downingtown West. I think they're a good 4A football team, but I think Coatesville's better this Friday night.
Nate?
Yeah, I do believe Coach Milano or Coach Ortega is undefeated against Shanahan for his career. I think Shanahan's last win against Coatesville is 07, so a lot of history on their side. Coatesville tends just to match up really well with them, just with their speed. Obviously, Shanahan likes to spread it out, but Coatesville's pretty good at running sideways with them. So, obviously, coming off a loss against West and Shanahan back-to-back weeks with Downingtown does them no favors. I can't imagine they're full fully healthy at this point. Just the wear and tear of those matchups. But I'm going to go with Coatesville on this one.
All right, Mitt?
I'm going to agree with the dean of Chesmont coaches there, and I'll go with Coatesville.
All right. Coach Wolf, I think we might have not gotten in his. He also would take Avongrove. He likes Ruston to edge Henderson. He also likes Malvern by a million, and he would also take Unionville. He also likes Coatesville along with everyone else, so that leaves it up to me. It looks like I can either go lone wolf here. I know Coatesville lost their center in the beginning of the Downingtown West game, and that really hurt them. I don't know. I will also go with Coatesville, okay? So I know a lot of people were wondering about that. All right. Kennett at Oxford for the title, okay? So this is exactly the way we wanted the Southern half to break down. Mitt, what do you got?
I like Coach Frazier. I like Coach Means. I think they both do a great job. I'm going to say that the deciding factor for this one is going to be the hard dirt at the Hornets' Nest. Kennett already has a piece of the championship. Maybe they're looking a little bit past. Maybe Oxford has a little bit more to play for. So I'm going to say the Hornets.
All right, sounds good, man. That's impressive. What do you got, Pete?
I like Kennett. They're on a 3-game winning streak, playing great defense. I love Oxford. Mike Bean's a tough guy, and his kids play like they take his personality. But I like Kennett in this one.
All right, Nate.
Yeah, I guess it's one of the perks of the 3 divisions. You get to see Kennett and Oxford play for a division title. I don't know that that's ever happened. It's a pretty cool story for both of them. You look at their stats, very even on paper. I'm going to go Kennett in a close one. I just think guys like Ian Geyer and some of those senior veterans for Kennett will get it done in a close one.
Sounds good. What do you think, Coach Milano?
Hey, I haven't seen either team. I see stats. I read with you guys. You guys do a great job covering all this stuff. Coach Frazier does a great job at Kennett. There's no doubt about it. We played those guys a couple of years. They upset us down there one year. I'm going to pick Mike Means at home. I've read somewhere first winning season in a while. I know he's got his kids fired up. He's a fiery guy, as you said. So I'll pick Oxford.
Outstanding. This is a tough one for me. And actually, since everybody's going to the Battle of the Brandywine, I'm actually going to go down to this one. So Oxford and Kennett, I'm going down there. It is for a championship. And I love Coach Means. He's been doing a great job. Talk to him regularly every week. So he'll be pleased to know that I'm going to take Kennett to win this one. Kennett's on a roll. They've been playing well ever since they got all their injured guys back. And I just think they're going to be a little bit too much, on this night. And so right now, I'm going to go with Kennett. But good news, as we learned from Kyle Berger earlier in the show, both of teams will be in the playoffs. So this game is really for just seeding and a home game.
Both of you on the road? Or somebody get a home game?
No, somebody will get a home game if they win.
Okay.
Okay, so that's great. So I will also take Kennett, and Coach Wolf will take Kennett as well. Great Valley at Westchester East. Now, as Kyle Berger said earlier in the show, there is still a possibility with a Great Valley win that they can get into the playoffs. So if that, pushes anybody one way or the other here, let's figure it out. Coach Milano, what do you think?
Again, Great Valley's been in and out of Chesmont. Westchester East has been a mainstay. Scott Stevens, a great guy, great coach. I'm going to go with Westchester East.
Okay, sounds good. Pete?
Westchester East has better skilled people than Great Valley. Great Valley's been playing tough they're on their 3rd quarterback this season. I mean, he had a nice game against Henderson, but I think Westchester East will win this one.
Yeah, Coach Wolf also will take Westchester East.
I'll also take Coach Stevens and Westchester East.
Nate?
Yeah, I think the Vikings win one for Gary Phillips, going back to Great Valley. They get a better defense. I think they get the win.
Yeah, I also like Westchester East here. They've been playing beating Henderson, I think kind of got them jump-started a little bit. I know they struggled last week, but, who hasn't struggled against Ruston? So I will also take Westchester East. Now, here we go. The Battle of the Brandywine. Downingtown West at Downingtown East. I'll start off and give you the guy's pick who's not on the show right now, Coach Wolf. And Coach Wolf took Downingtown West. No, I'm just kidding. I'd love to give him Downingtown West, but no, he took Downingtown East like he has, for every show, regardless of who they played. So we'll give him Downingtown East. Pete.
Tough game. Two teams that like to run the football and play good defense against the run.
Absolutely.
I think West is better than East. I'm going to pick the Whippets.
Okay. Coach Mitt.
I have a lot of respect for Coach Matta and his program, and I think they're a good football team. But I got to take.
Nate.
Yeah, I think. This is always a fun matchup, right? I think Downingtown East matches up pretty well with West. West obviously defends the run really well, but Downingtown East won't be swayed by that. They'll just keep pounding it in there until they break one. I think it'll be, obviously the last two games last year were super compelling. A little trend I got from Vegas, the visiting team has won the last 5 matchups, so that bodes well for West. Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm going strictly on the trend, but I think the Whippets pull this one out in a close one.
Me too.
Okay. I just think Downingtown West defense is really stingy.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to get pushed around up front. And I think they're going to make things very, very difficult, with the different styles of blitzes that they run and the different things that they do. I'm not going to take the over here. I don't know what it would be. But I'm definitely going to take West as well. I think they'll be stout, and they're going to hold on to their number 2 seed. Coach Milano, you are, I guess if we had more time, I would have been able to. And if we knew you were really going to be joining us, we'd have your Downingtown West hat ready to be put on here, I think. But what do you got?
Just underneath. I got it under here.
All right, yeah.
Yes, sir, he's got one down there.
What do you think? Give us something.
I'll give you something. I'll just tell you this. This game, you talked about the 2 games last year, and we played twice the year before that. As I was getting older, hitting 70 years old, and wasn't sure if I was coming back or not, I'll just tell you this. It's those games, that atmosphere that had me, do I want to come back or not come back? They're amazing. You guys have been there as spectators. Coach Mitten, you were involved in those games a couple of times as you were with us. It's amazing. Games could go either way. I've seen some great games. I've seen some upsets both ways. But I think Downingtown West right now, Coach Klein and that staff have done a great job. And those kids responding to a coaching change the way they have and played all year, I'm going to pick Downingtown West.
There it is. From the GOAT. All right, well, thank you so much for everybody joining us, all our followers for the year. This will wrap up our last show of the year. We will be back next year, so look for us. And thanks for tuning in. It's been a great time. These guys have been unbelievable. And Coach Milano, again, thanks for joining us. All right? Take care, everybody, and get out and enjoy the game.